Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman, and I'm founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build great teams. My guest today is Damiean Lumsden from Hughes Media. And Damie, tell me, what is your position with Hughes Media?
Sure, I'm the director of operations here.
Okay, so you run the show, so you're the right guy to talk to. Now, we had a discussion earlier. One of the questions I would ask you is, what information should a contractor be willing to share with their media person in order to do a good job? Because I know contractors complain all the time about they want me to do a remodel, but they won't give me a budget because they're afraid that I'm going to go to the budget and I'm going to somehow cheat them or take advantage of them in some kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
So contractors always want to say, can't you just tell me what your budget is, what you're trying to give me all the information so I can help you make a good decision? It sounds like something with that similar happens when media companies are working with contractors where they say, I don't want to show you my financials. I don't want to show you how much I actually make on a lead. So what information would you like a contractor to share with you to do a good job as their media company?
That's a great point, and it's something we see all the time, and it does affect how effective your marketing partners can be. One of the things that's really important on the marketing side when we're building these campaigns is understanding just how much the value of a lead is to you, not just from a lead perspective, but from a conversion. If your marketing agency is delivering a certain number of leads per month, and then there's a formula that's gonna, let's say you're gonna have a certain number of those leads turn into conversions. Your marketing partner, agency, whoever you're working with needs to have a very truthful and honest understanding of what those numbers mean. If they bring you five jobs a month, are they $5,000 a piece for you? Are they $10,000? Are they $15,000? I think sometimes the clients and the contractors kind of don't want the marketing company to know how much they're making because they're afraid they're going to jack the price up or saying, "Oh, look how much money we're generating. Let's raise the price." And if you have a good partner, that's not the issue, and that's not going to happen to you. But what being honest and open is it lets the marketing company know how much can we bid on a lead. If we're bringing you a lead and it costs, let's say $500 per conversion that we bring in, is that a good number for you? Are you breaking even? Are you losing money? Are you 10xing your ROAS there? And the marketing agency has no idea what's happening on your side of the books. So that's definitely something that's helpful.
Now, when you're figuring ROI, return on investment, should you figure the lifetime value of that customer or just that one job?
Well, it's helpful to look at it from both perspectives, right? Now, if you're doing a good job as a company and you retain those clients, you don't have a lot of turnover. Yeah, definitely look at it as a lifetime of income. You want to know, obviously, the revenue kind of by job. Is this, what kind of project did they sign me up for, right? And because from your marketing company's perspective, those are kind of how they're going to be either doing paid campaigns or SEO by keywords to bring those jobs in, whether it's bathroom remodel, re-roofing a house, whatever those specifics may be. And obviously, your revenue on the contractor side is going to be different for different jobs. Remodeling a bathroom, different revenue than an extension on a home, right?
Right.
And as marketers, we are running separate campaigns. We are investing different dollar amounts, but we have to know what that return looks like on your side so that we can invest properly and get you the return that you need.
Now, what is a reasonable ROI for someone to expect on their marketing budget? Do you have any numbers? Is it 10x, 1x? What?
Well, 10x would be great. I would love to say that that's a good number to expect. The industry average will tell you across all marketing, you should try to expect a 2x return. Here at our agency, we typically deliver at least a 3x return on our marketing campaigns. And really, there's a lot of factors that'll go into that. How competitive your market is the main one, right? how many competitors do you have? How much money are they dumping into the local marketing? Driving the cost of leads up, driving the cost of conversions up. But yeah, when run properly, you should be seeing at least a 2x return on your marketing efforts. And again,
Now, I assume that 2 or 3x is net profit, right? Not gross profit, right? So if you're spending, pick a number, 50,000 a year, you should add 100,000 to the bottom line, right?
Well, that would be a little more difficult to calculate. Generally, ROAS is calculated and reviewed as a top line, so as a gross spend over gross revenue back. And then you can get in and you can break down, what was the media spend out of our total marketing budget for the year may have been $500,000. How much of that was paid media? How much of that went into SEO? How much went into different things? And then you want to look at that and say, hey, our $500,000 of marketing, did that generate $10 million of business, $6 million of business? And then you can get into, what your actual profit margin is. That's going to vary from company to company,
Right.
on how they manage their
Now,
expenses.
what's a difficult thing to figure out is if I'm spending $50,000 on marketing, right,
Hmm.
for a number, and I'm getting 100,000 revenue back, but my net is only 10%, then one could say, well, I spent 50,000, only got 10,000 back because
Hmm.
all that counts is net. So that's a difficult calculation because what really matters is the owner's net. Now, if he doesn't run his business well, it's not your problem, right? Because if he has to buy a jet or a new car or whatever, right? You go,
Right.
well, I didn't make any money because I had to buy that ranch in Tennessee. Yeah, but that's where all the profit went. Um,
Right.
but you've got to figure profit before I'm going to call owner's compensation and whatever he wants to take that, right? It's
Yeah, and that you'll see that comes into a lot of factors, and people will say we had to buy more trucks or we had to buy specialized equipment, and um, your marketing company doesn't have any control over the assets that you need to acquire, and what margins you run at. But what we can do is jump in with you and say, hey, you only, great example of saying, hey, you only netted 10% profit out of that is we can have those conversations with you and say, are there projects that you have higher margins at? And when this is generally something we'll say, an HVAC company may say, well, of course, we make more money on complete system replacements than we do on repairs. Well, great,
right.
because now a competent marketing company can go in with a focus of, I'm going to get you more replacements. I'm going to get you focus on the things that make you more money than just making your phone ring for, little calls here and there that are not the high margins that you want to have. And that's, again, kind of another benefit of really being transparent with your marketing company. Let them know what makes the most money for you. If you could say, man, I would take this kind of job as many as you could book, let that's the
It's not only what
information that
makes the most
helps.
money, but what's the easiest. Because sometimes the most money, it's not worth the difficulty of dealing with a client.
Yep.
Um, Now, another question that comes up when we're trying to figure ROI is, well, I got the lead. Now, did that lead come because of your advertising? Did that lead come because they saw my truck? Does that lead come because they read my review? They saw my neighbor? I mean, I've had, issues where companies, the marketing company says, oh, we gave you all these leads. And they say they all came from our affiliates. You didn't generate any of them. They just happened to go to the website to find out where to meet us. But
Right.
when you look at where the lead from, you had nothing to do with it. They came from another source entirely, had nothing to do with you. They just went to the website to make an appointment. Excuse me, but they went to the website. Yeah, but you didn't generate that lead.
Hmm.
So how do you deal with that? Where did the lead come from?
Hmm.
Who's responsible for generating, and how do you actually figure that out?
That is a great question that doesn't have a straightforward answer. So you'll see that argument applied both ways. You'll see a marketing agency claim every time the phone rang was something they did, and you'll see a client say, all of these people booked straight on my website. So what am I paying you guys for? You guys didn't do anything.
Right.
So, and
Right.
really, the answer is in the middle. I believe, the recent an article I read the other day said consumers now take at least 8 touches with a brand before they're willing to do business with them, or really, willing to trust. So, if you think about it from that perspective, you're both right. It was seeing the truck down the street. It was seeing your name on a billboard. It was the visit to the website. It was when they searched for that service and your name popped up as an ad. It's the cumulative effect of all of your marketing that really generates the business. And that's where the marketing agency and the contractor have to sit down and work together. And hopefully, if the marketing company is really tracking everything, you can paint this picture together and say, here's how many people saw my Google business profile this month. Here's how many people went to my website this month. And you're not necessarily looking just for what's considered a last touch attribution. Last touch meaning this was the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. This was the last thing that made them pick up the phone and call. Some people will look at first touch attribution. Well, where did they hear about me first?
Well, it's Damien, it's difficult because
Mm-hmm.
from a contractor's point of view,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know where that is. So I'm figuring out my marketing budget. Do I spend it on, Google ads? Do I spend it on SEO? Do I spend it on trucks? I mean, if you don't know what worked, how do you
Right.
know what
Where
to
to
spend
invest?
money on and what not to spend money on?
Right. And I think, one that's it illustrates the trust you need to have with your marketing partners, right? This needs to be, and when I say marketing partner, this is a partnership. You're both working towards success together. Don't think of this as a customer vendor relationship where the contractor is the customer just hiring someone. You've got to go in this with a partner that you trust and you feel good about. And think of it this way: is go back to the basics of marketing and sales and think of our traditional funnel, right? Where we have our top line touches, which are our awareness, our middle engagement, which may be an email or kind of requesting some information, down to the bottom of the funnel where the transaction happens, right? And you can't just live at the bottom of the funnel. You
Well, but
can,
you can't you can't just live at the top of the funnel either, right?
right,
Because I've
absolutely.
had marketing agencies that will go, excuse me, look at all, they show you a bunch of statistics like we've improved this, we've improved that, you've got fun, blah, blah, but you didn't get any business. They go, well, I don't care how many people watch the damn thing. I just want to get business.
Right.
So if you just look at the top of the funnel, that doesn't mean the only thing that really means anything is the bottom of the funnel. But at the same
Right.
time, you have to have a top to have a bottom, right?
Yes.
So how do you work or partner with the
Mhm.
agency in finding out? I mean, one of the things we've done as a company is we
Mhm.
say, okay, when we interview the client that comes to us, where'd you hear first about it? Why'd you call? And draw like a conversation interview to look at their path of how they got to you, right?
Mhm.
And if it was, well, my neighbor gave me your name. I saw your website, it looked cool. I saw it, and there's a bunch of stuff that's fine. But if it's, I went directly, I heard your name from this guy and called you, I didn't know any of that ever existed, right?
Mhm.
So it seems to me if you do the right research on when people actually buy, you might be able to answer some of those questions.
Absolutely. And to kind of get back to something you touched on, I mean, the ultimate KPI is dollars generated. Right?
Right.
You can talk about phone calls and form fills and website viewers, but if there's no dollars changing hands, then nothing is working.
Right. Right.
But yeah, you're absolutely right, and it's good to keep track of your investment across all of those touch points between creating awareness, and all the way down to the transaction. And yes, if you can, um, at some point once they sign the dotted line, if you can ask them for where did you hear from me, what all of that information, love to have it. That helps everyone out. And
I
again,
mean, to me,
things
there should
things
be
to
some kind
share.
of a form or something or something that
Mhm.
asks all those right kind of questions. Because, when you're looking at this,
Mhm.
the truth is you may never really know, they may not
Mhm.
know, but you're
Right.
trying to make decisions on where to spend money, right? And then
Yep.
I think another thing I sort of complain of marketing agencies, well, I can get the phone ring, but you guys can't sell anything, right? So to
Mhm.
me, it has to be through the bottom line. As you said, the KPI, key performance indicator, is the dollar generated. So
Mhm.
if you're producing leads and they can't sell the leads you've got, that doesn't help you as a marketing agency because they're going to fire you anyway because they're not getting any money, right?
Right. And in that case, two things could be happening. I mean, there's more than two, but primarily, look at the quality of the leads. Are you bringing the right audience in? Do they have the need that your client is offering the solution for? Because if not, yeah, they're not going to buy. And the other half of that is if we're bringing in the right people that have the right problem for you to solve, is how is it being handled on the client side? One of the things that we do as an agency is we have software that when the client agrees, we use this to track where phone calls and forms come from, and all the way up to recording the phone call that they have with the call center or with that salesperson
Right.
on the client side. There's been more than one occasion where you can come back and say, hey, listen to some of these calls. These were people ready to spend money, and maybe the call was mishandled on your side,
Well,
which is just an
now,
opportunity
Jamie,
to.
where do you draw that line? Because,
Mhm.
you know, you're stuck at the result because they're not making money. They're not going to keep you hired, right?
Right.
So when you're a digital agency, I'm sure you come up with this, how
Mhm.
much involved do the sales process you get? I usually say marketing
Yeah.
gets the phone ring and sales everything up after the phone rings. But
Yep.
there's this line between marketing and sales, but you can't say, well, I'm giving you all the right leads, but you can't sell them because that doesn't work for the client, right?
Right. And
So
all
how much do you get involved all the way to the bottom line versus just I get you quality leads, we're done.
Right. And I think every agency is going to have a different answer on how vested or how far they're tied into the to that process. Um, for us, we track the phone calls all the way to the point of the client reaching or the customer calling the client. And generally, we do that for our own purposes to understand what language are they using, what keywords are they asking for, things like that. But yeah, there are times that we'll see a problem and say, "Hey, your sales team is not converting at a high level," and all that we can really do, we can't hire and fire your sales team. We can't change the prices that you charge or the services you offer. All we can do is bring to your attention, we see something that might be a potential issue.
Well,
We might
I
have
would
phone
think, Damien,
calls.
you have more access to information. So you can say, look at, we work with, 20 HVAC companies or 15 remodels who you're working with. And
Mhm.
our experience is that with a quality lead that somebody has the need, the time, and the money, you should
Mhm.
convert at least 30% of those, or what a number is, right? Whatever the
Right.
industry is. And say
Mhm.
you're converting 10, or you should convert 80 and converting 20. So I
Right.
would think as an agency, you have access to information so they can at least come up with the right KPIs for their whole team to decide whether they're doing a good job or not, right?
Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, that is the owner's decision, for that contractor of what their expectations are and what changes they are willing to make on their side if something needs to be changed.
Well, it seems to me, I know some contractors, you don't nobody know what a KPI is. We in recruiting, right? We say what are KPIs, say what are KPIs, right? For
Right.
those, it's key performance indicators. ROI is a KPI, a letter, right? So, uh, and I think, with the good news with ChatGPT and some AI out there, they'll develop KPIs. If you just tell them what they'll do, and they'll write you all the KPIs. It's much easier than it used to be.
Mhm.
But I would say, as a contractor, what KPIs, key performance indicators, would you have to judge your marketing agency decide whether you need to get a new one or they're doing a good job or not?
Well,
What
I
would you
think
like to be judged by?
I think that, first and foremost, you have to kind of go back to revenue. Look at the revenue. Are you getting what you need to be getting? And you have to look at that with a dose of reality, right? You can't say, well, I spent $10,000 and I needed to make $500,000 last month,
Right.
or whatever it is, right? But then it's on a case by case basis, and I like to say that you had those are conversations. What the KPIs are need to be worked out between the agency and the client, because
So give me some
every
examples of KPIs you feel comfortable with the client.
Sure. Um, well, sure. So, phone calls and web forms are going to be one of your more standard ones of how many times did we make the phone ring or somebody submit a request form on your website for services, right? That's kind of at a baseline what you would say these are the quote leads, the big
Right.
and a big broad bucket leads. And how many of those you turn into jobs would be the conversions. You can move beyond that into kind of looking more at that middle and top of the funnel of saying, well, how much engagement did we get on social media? Or how many total website visitors did we have? And those are measurements, again, of kind of those upper tiers of how many people are just generally aware of our brand, how many people are engaged with our brand, how many people have requested to join our email list, how many people have asked us for a great thing to do to get information is to have some white papers or something downloadable on your website. Hey, if you're a contractor, could you generate a list in your local area? Here's 10 things that I need to prepare my home before a construction project. Because a
Right.
homeowner will download that list. Generally, in exchange, you're getting their email address, and that's another great place for you to start marketing to those leads as well.
Now, I feel, at least in the people I deal with, a lot of people don't even know what they don't know, right?
Hmm.
So when you say, what are the KPIs for a marketing agency? They haven't got a clue. I mean, they know how much time they're spending and how much money they're making, and they want to spend less time and make more money in general
Yep.
terms, right?
Yep.
So how, as an agency, do you sit down with the owner
Hmm.
and develop that funnel, the KPIs through the funnel, so they don't see you as an adversary going, well, look at, I paid you $50,000, I didn't get anything out of it or whatever. And they say, well, we sent you 20 leads and you can't convert them. So
Yeah.
how do you avoid that adversary role between the contractor and the agency? Now, I'm going to use a quick example. A lot of contractors complain to me that the client, when they do a proposal, sees an adversary. They come into I'm going to do your remodel, and they go, how much is it going to cost? They go, I can't tell you because you're going to take advantage of me. So there's no trust. I mean,
Right.
they figure the contractor is trying to do them in, going to take all the money they can, charge them as much as they can, make as much as they can, and it's not on the same side of the table as a person getting the remodel. Now,
Right.
in a good situation, the remodeling person takes the contractor as a trusted advisor or a friend and shares with them everything because they feel that they're both on the same side of the table, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you create that same kind of relationship with your agency?
For us, it is education. Every agency out there will say we're transparent. We want to be transparent with the numbers and our process and all that, and they should. But it goes beyond transparency because back to what you said, if the contractors don't understand what they're looking at, great, they have access to dashboards and they can see the cost per click and the web visitors and all of these things. But if you don't know what that means as a contractor, it doesn't do you any good. So what we like to do is, when we're onboarding a new client, a new contractor in that case, let's talk about what do you need to know. Let's talk about what these metrics mean. When we say cost per click, cost per acquisition, how many visitors or impressions do you, let's make sure
Right.
you understand what that means, and let's make sure you understand what's involved to make that happen. This is one
So
of those things, and I think your contractors will appreciate this as craftsmen, is when the person on the receiving end understands how much work and effort goes into building something, then I think everyone appreciates it a little more. When we
right.
see how complicated, you know, woodworking is, but the end result is beautiful. It's a very similar situation in marketing, and there's a lot of things that go into building these campaigns, and there's a lot of moving pieces. And if you, as the client, don't understand all of the moving pieces that have to come together just right on our side, you're not going to have an appreciation for it either.
Right. Well, I think that the relationship should be as a trusted advisor more than a vendor, right? I mean, because
Absolutely.
if you're a vendor, you're just trying to get the best deal you can, right? So if you're going to buy a
Yeah.
car, you go to 5 dealerships and it's the same damn car and going to buy a Mercedes or a Tesla or something. And
Hmm.
who's going to give me the best deal? To
Right.
me, when you shop for an agency, it's more like looking for a doctor or a psychiatrist or a marriage counselor, right? You
Yeah.
want somebody you're going to have to trust, because if there's trust isn't there, the chances are you're not going to have a great relationship.
Right. And those examples you gave, buying a car, you think of those as one-time transactions, right? I'm going to go in, I want the best deal I can. I may not see this person again versus, the other those are relationships where we're going to be in this for the long haul of our marriage or our life or our health. And I want to get to know you and you know me and we know each other's needs. We communicate openly and you can say, hey, what should this cost? What should
Right.
a number of our clients will ask us to sit down and help them plan their marketing budgets for the next year.
Right.
And
Well, it's
that's
more like relationship you would have with your CPA or somebody like that versus
exactly,
the car dealer, right? Great.
exactly.
Well, this is good, Damien. Where, if people want to have that relationship with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. You can always connect with Hughes Media online, hughesmedia.us.
Now,
You can
well,
look
that isn't
me.
related to the Hughes Air Corporation, right? Like,
No, I'm afraid not. I'm
I
afraid
see.
not. But
Okay.
look us up there, connect with me on LinkedIn. We're happy to build those relationships.
Okay, great. Thanks, Amy. I really appreciate you being here. I think this is a good discussion. So remember, you're looking for a trusted advisor, not a vendor, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Jamie. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.